Well guys, we did it. We have hit 100,000 miles here in my 2019 Mazda 3 hatchback. Now this video will be a little bit longer than my other video updates because of that big milestone, but we're also going to be taking a look back at what has changed with the car, what has happened to it in those 100,000 miles, and what this car's future might be, especially here on the channel. So I hope you enjoy this extra long update on everything that has happened to my Mazda 3 hatchback in 105,000 miles. Now I will link videos of this car's progress at the end of this video. I'll create like a playlist. I've updated it almost every 25,000 miles, sometimes prematurely when stuff has come up. But I purchased this car with 3,000 miles on it on August 13th, 2020. I bought it for $23,000. And like I said, it had 3,063 miles on it. This was actually the dealership loaner car from the dealer that I bought it from. So it was technically pre-owned, but had never been titled by any individual, only Mazda themselves. And so I am the first owner of this car. Since then, to update you guys to the last video of 85,000 miles, I've driven this to all 48 connected states here in the United States, of course excluding Alaska and Hawaii. I had to replace a front left wheel because I hit a pothole in central Illinois that bent the wheel. Kind of a common issue with these cars with the 18-inch wheels. They do have relatively thin sidewall tires, and so you might want to look out for something like that. I did get a check engine light in the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, and we talked about that with the connected vehicle services, and that was a fun video if you want more information on that. However, I actually did end up getting that check engine light again recently. It was just some pedal misinformation. This car doesn't really love the mountains, and so it ended up being a nonsense check engine light, nothing really too crazy. My only complaints in the first 85,000 miles have been the paint is really thin. Normally I do have a leather bra on the car for road trips to prevent rock chips because Mazda uses really thin paint. The plastics scratch pretty easily, and some of the small rattles and whatnot in the interior, but not anything too crazy. Besides that, it's been really reliable. And so let's now talk about what has happened since that 85,000 mile update to now 105,000 miles. Well, the most visually obvious update is the fact that I have added a roof rack to the car since you last saw it here on the channel. This is the genuine Mazda roof rack offered from the dealership. It was about $400 and it is manufactured by Thule. Up here, this is a Yakima 46-inch wind deflector, and this is an absolute necessity. I bought this roof rack and put it on before I drove across the country, and as I got out of Illinois, I immediately noticed that this makes a terrible howling noise in the wind while driving at speeds. So when I got to Denver, I went to the REI giant store in downtown Denver, picked up this 46-inch wind deflector, and it cuts down on the sound immensely. I also did not notice any MPG differences with the roof rack on it, and shout out to Ty for the recommendation on the roof rack and wind deflector. I have recently invested in a kayak, and so that's what this is going to be used for, but I think it also adds a really cool look to the car, and so all said and done, this is probably about a $500 setup, and I'm very, very happy with it. I can make a whole video review of this roof rack and wind visor if you guys want, but if you guys don't want it, then I won't go through the hassle. But let's hop under the hood because we did have our first big fix. So luckily, the Mazda 3 with the 2.5 naturally aspirated inline 4 has been incredibly reliable, and it's never left me stranded, knock on wood, except for the one time that it did need a battery replacement, but that was my own negligence. It has finally needed its first actual repair, which was the belt tensioner and the belt as well. This was a little bit premature. My mechanic did notice that it was starting to weep a little bit of fluid. And so I had a 7,000 mile trip planned through Montana and Colorado. And so I decided to fix it before that trip as opposed to letting it seize or cause an issue down the road. It was a few $100s to fix. And of course we did do a belt too because it started to show a couple of little cracks, nothing too crazy. I definitely could have driven on it for longer, but who knows how much longer, and so I decided to fix it then and there. Mazda said, or at least the Mazda tech that I talked to said, to expect this issue around 80,000 miles and onward, so the fact that I did it at 97,000 miles, I got more life out of it than expected. However, that has so far been the only mechanical issue with this Mazda 3, and it wasn't even an issue, just a little bit of preventative maintenance. I also did get new tires as of recent. These only have about 6,000 miles on them. I have a full video on my channel about them. They are Kumho Solus 4S HA32s, and the reason I selected these tires is because they were free. Kumho sponsored me to have these tires and do a review of them, and my true honest opinion is that they've been great. They do wear out a little bit quicker than the older tires, the older Continentals or Toyos that come on this car. A little bit shorter of a life on these tires, but grip level has been great. In the snow, in the sleet, in the rain, they've been good, and so that's why I did put new tires on them, and this is now the third set of tires I've had on this car. I also had Continentals on it before, and of course the stock Toyos. And now to hit you with a couple of facts. In the last 100,000 miles, I have done 20 oil changes. I've had 3 key batteries replaced, 2 air filters replaced, 2 fuel system flushes. Highly recommend doing that on this car. These are direct injection engines and it helps prevent carbon buildup. It sounds like a whole lot of malarkey. It's really not. It is really healthy for your engine to get that fuel service about every 30 to 40,000 miles, and I'll probably do another one here soon. I've had 3 sets of wipers swapped out. I've had 2 brake services, 3 cabin air filters, 1 coolant swap. I've done the spark plugs, and I did the differential / transmission fluid. So the front differential and the transmission actually share a reservoir, as well as the rear differential has been done as well. Now, Mazda will tell you that the fluid in the transmission is lifetime fluid and that you never have to change it. Well, by Mazda standards, their lifetime of the vehicle is 100,000 miles. That's it. That's as far as they expand the life. So I would highly recommend getting that swapped out if you do plan on having the car for longer than 100,000 miles. Basically what they do is they push in new fluid as pulling the old fluid out, so they don't completely drain it, which could be really bad. I got that messed up in one of the older videos. So they basically just swap the fluid. Same with the coolant, that sort of thing. And so a lot of these swaps actually come either at the 80,000 mile mark or the 65,000 mile mark. There's actually not a whole lot to do at the 100,000 mile mark. Just keep on driving it. And so this next portion of the video, I'm going to stop talking. And when I was having the vehicle serviced at 105,000 miles, I took a bunch of B-roll underneath the car so you can see how the car has aged after 105,000 miles, and you can draw your own conclusions, or you could skip to this part in the video if you don't care.
Till I get up, time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow.
There are these little plastic mounting points on the suspension that tend to go out around 100,000 miles-ish, just to keep an eye on them. Now, they don't go out catastrophically randomly. They will start to show signs of wear, so if your mechanic mentions something in the steering might look a little worn, I would take his word for it. So now that we've hit 100,000 miles in the Mazda 3 hatchback, and we've had almost no issues, what's the plan? Should I keep this car? Should I get rid of it and try something else for the next 100,000 miles? Well, let's go through some of its competitors, mainly the 2024 Mazda 3 hatchback. As much as I do love the Mazda, I don't really see much point in upgrading besides the fact that they've added wireless CarPlay, USB-C, and they can now offer Alcantara on the dash, which I think was really, really nice in this car at my local Mazda dealer. And as you can see, my local Mazda dealer actually has a Mazda 3 for sale for $24,000, which is just a touch over what I paid for this vehicle, so you still can find good options. The reason I don't want to upgrade to a 2024 is because I don't find much point. It still looks the same, still drives the same. The engine makes, I believe, 5 or 6 more horsepower to 191 horsepower now, and it makes a couple more miles to the gallon, but to me, it doesn't make sense to trade to that car when this car has been so reliable, and I want to keep this car for a case study. What about a Honda Civic? Well, I don't like the CVTs that come in Honda Civics, and they don't come in all-wheel drive, and the 1.5 turbos have been known to have oil issues, so if you do go with a Honda Civic, I would highly recommend a manual 2.0 liter naturally aspirated Civic Sport. You could find it in relatively the same price as this car, and that would definitely be my next pick. The Toyota Corolla, same thing. They offer it with a CVT, which I don't love. It also kind of feels sort of Fisher pricey to me in the interior. Feels like you bought it at a back to school Kohl's event. And so I like the Corollas. I just don't feel the interior quality or the overall niceties that I do find here in the Mazda 3. The Nissan Sentra, I don't like that car. Again, CVT, I think it's underpowered, and I think it's a little overpriced for what you get. The Hyundai Elantra, I really like that. I like what Hyundai's doing right now. I think their vehicles are really, really nice. They have that nice feeling to them. But again, you can't get the Elantra in all-wheel drive, which is what really drew me to this car. In all reality, if I had to pick up a new daily driver today at the drop of a hat for under $50,000, I would probably do the Mazda CX-50. It's basically this car, just with lifted suspension, a little bit more cargo space, and a couple better color options. So if I had to pick, that would be my pick, but I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. So for the time being, this car stays right where it is in my possession. And so that's it. That's all I have here for you today. I wish I had a crazier update for you guys, but as you know, no news is good news when it comes to vehicle reliability. And so far, the last 105,000 miles, 102,000 miles personally done by me have been absolutely wonderful. I love this car more and more each time. The drives, the places it's taken me, it's been reliable through and through. And I love this thing. I really, really, truly do. And as enticing as a new car might be, I can't get rid of this. This car is a part of my family, and so we are going to continue the updates on this car for the mileage. Now, I do have to preface this by the fact that if you are a fan of the channel, you will know that I get press cars now, meaning I get a new car every Tuesday brought to my house to drive around for a week from a new manufacturer. These cars all have under 5,000 miles. They're brand new cars, top trims, all that stuff. And so, unfortunately, the Mazda 3 gets sidelined quite a bit. It has become a little bit of a garage queen sitting there ready to go, but not getting a whole lot of use. And so the updates on the Mazda 3 will become slower and slower. I don't anticipate hitting 125,000 miles for probably over a year, maybe even 2 years. And so I am still driving this car. I still own it. If I ever sell it or get rid of it or anything ever happens to it, I promise you I will make a video as soon as possible. But for now, it's gonna go back in the garage and hang out until my next road trip. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to everyone for following along with this car. If there's one thing that you learn from any of these videos and all of my videos, I don't think I could ever buy a non-Mazda ever again. This car has treated me so well. The Mazda Corporation has treated me so well. It's a no-brainer. I mean, it really truly is a no-brainer, and it's not going anywhere. So hope this was helpful. If you guys have specific questions about the Mazda 3 hatchback, please leave it in the comment section down below, or you can email me at pradoreviews@gmail.com if you have any pressing buying needs. But until 125, I'll see you guys later.